The sound of fluorescent lights buzzing, the moist yellow carpet, and the endless maze of rooms gives me PTSD every time I think about it. The first time I saw the Backrooms was in a dream. I didn't think much of it, and I moved on with my day. The Backrooms are one of the many unexplained phenomenons in the universe. It's been almost 2 years after the incident. Note, I have still found nothing explaining the Backrooms. Around 2 years later, after the dream, I saw a YouTube video titled, The Backrooms. The moment that I saw the Backrooms photo, I remembered the dream that I'd had. Everything he described matched what my vision was like. Yellow moist carpet, old fluorescent lights buzzing, and the endless maze of rooms seemed all too familiar. Ever since I saw that YouTube video, I had been obsessed with the Backrooms. So obsessed, everywhere I went, I shoved myself against walls and doors, hoping to no-clip through. That was my entire day. I told all of my friends and family about the Backrooms and my unhealthy habits of running into walls. My parents suggested that I should see a psychiatrist to talk to them about what has been going on. I wasn't going to see a psychiatrist because I knew something was wrong with reality as we know it. As time went by, I had no luck finding the Backrooms, and I thought about giving up the search to find it. Unfortunately, I did not, and I found out the hard way that I should have. There are a few things that you should know about the Backrooms. First and foremost, try to avoid getting there at all costs. If you see a wall darker than the rest, or a door you swear should not be there, leave it alone and move on with your day. Here's a little tip. If you somehow end up there, do not try to climb through the ceiling. All you're doing is wasting valuable time. God forbid you see a humanoid creature. The only tip I can give you, if you see one, is to look the other direction and run. This may be obvious, but try to get out as soon as possible. The longer you stay in the Backrooms, the more levels deeper you go. Oh yeah, and levels. Try to stay at the safest level you can. Level 0. Level 0 is the easiest to escape from. You can escape level 0 in one of 3 ways. Way number 1. You can die by one of the entities. Another way you can escape is finding a wall darker than all the rest, and try to bump into it, and no-clip back into the real world. And 3. You can move on to level 1. Here's where things took a turn for the worst in my life. I had a job at a local Target. If you know me, I always run into walls. My manager called me back and wanted to talk to me, and my behavior changed. The manager: I've been noticing a change in your behavior. Is there a reason why? Yeah, the Backrooms are making me lose my mind. The Backrooms? What the hell is that? I explained everything to my manager and showed him the image. He thought the whole concept was interesting. He told me that it shouldn't be interfering with my work, and before we moved on with our day, this happened. Isn't the concept crazy? Yeah, but if I see you running any more walls, you won't be working here anymore. My manager picked up his coffee and then... Oh, what the hell? Did you just see that it was... What just happened? My coffee. It just disappeared when I grabbed it. You should probably see someone. And so should I. That's how I got to know my manager very well. One night after work, I asked my manager about the Backrooms. He told me to never bring up the topic again because the night before, he had had a vision of the Backrooms. I asked him what had happened, and it sounded exactly like the dream that I had. He told me to be careful, and we left work. As my obsession with the backrooms got worse, I went to see a psychiatrist. She told me to stop worrying about the backrooms and to move on with my life. She explained to me that I probably did not see that image in my dream. I know for a fact that I did at that point, so seeing her was no use to me. My boss caught me running into a wall, and this happened. God dang it, not again. Come see me. Okay, as I hesitantly walked over to the office. So you're running into walls again. I can explain. Remember what I told you. Leave. You can't. But I just did. Ever since I got fired, my obsession with the backrooms has only got worse. Later that night, I flipped on the TV. What I saw shocked me. Matt Rosny, a Target manager, had gone missing at the age of 44. Matt Rosny, I said, shocked. That was my old boss. I went straight for my laptop and I searched the internet for answers. While looking through the internet, a thought hit my head. The backrooms, I said, shocked. I knew that this was highly unlikely, but it was a possibility. I then searched the internet for other disappearances that could be related to the backrooms. Nothing came up. I fell into the rabbit hole of the internet. It was getting late. I decided to go to bed and call it a night. That night, I had visions of the backrooms. While in the dream, I saw my boss running and screaming, "What is this place?" I tried to yell his name, but to no avail. I woke up around 6 a.m. and I went straight for my laptop. I found this forum site dedicated to dreams and visions. I made an account and I posted my dream on the website. I got a reply from an anonymous user. "Don't mess around with that backroom stuff. Trust me, I've been there myself, and you would not want to make that same mistake as me." Freaked out about my boss, I contacted the police and told them about how the coffee disappeared the day before he disappeared. I proceeded to tell them about the dream that I had. They shrugged it off and decided they had had enough with me. I went home and decided to go to bed. The next morning, I woke up and forgot about the backrooms for the day. But then I got a buzz from my phone. I checked my phone and there was a notification for a new video titled, "Can Matt Rosny's death be related to the backrooms?" I watched the video, unsure of what was going to happen. It turns out they had gotten CCTV videos of him going missing. In the footage, he went to grab something on the ground at Target. He fell, and then the footage showed him going right through the wall. That day, everything on the news was about the camera footage of his disappearance. I am one of the only people who truly know what happened. Obsessed with the backrooms, I went back running into walls and nothing happened to me. That night, I had another dream about the backrooms. I was in the backrooms and all of a sudden, I saw a humanoid figure. I ran as fast as I could. I was not soon enough though. The thing caught up to me, and then I woke up in a panic. That afternoon, I decided to go to the mall to eat and look at some stores. I decided on Chinese food, and it tasted good. As I went to throw my plate away, someone approached me and said, "Be careful." Weirded out, I just went on with my day as usual. Browsing around stores, I got bored and I decided to hit the back of the mall. I noticed something was off near the soda machines. I decided to check it out. I ended up getting a soda and just sitting on the bench. And that's when I spotted it. A wall that looked darker than the others around it. Being me, I decided to check it out. I went to touch it, and a security guard yelled, "Hey, what do you want?" I said. "Can you make sure the vending machine is working?" I sighed with relief. "Sure thing." After the guard left, I examined the wall again. I touched the dark wall. My hand went straight through. I stuck my head in the wall and I saw nothing. I was fascinated. In one significant motion, I swung myself into the wall. I passed out. Around 5 minutes later, I woke up. "Where am I?" I said. I looked up and all I saw was an endless maze of yellow, monotone rooms. At that point, I knew I was in the Backrooms. With a rush of adrenaline, I screamed for help, but to no avail. I had to come up with a plan. Have you ever been to an old thrift store? That's what the Backrooms smell like. All I could hear was the buzzing of old, fluorescent lights all around me. "Don't panic," I said to myself. The carpet there is disgusting, and it looks like it hadn't been washed for several years. Taking a few deep breaths, I came up with a plan. I was going to climb through the ceiling. What was I going to use as a ladder, though? I came up with the perfect idea. As I ventured through the old rooms, I saw an old air conditioner. Being the 6-foot guy that I was, I decided that I would stand on the air conditioner and leave through the ceiling tiles. As I stood on it, the thought hit me that I may never leave. Desperately, I took a whack at the ceiling tiles, but they wouldn't budge. I remembered that I always carry a multi-tool. I decided that I would try to cut the ceiling tiles just enough so that I could get through. As I started to cut through, I saw what was above the ceiling tiles. Nothing. Just darkness that goes on for infinite space. Losing hope, I decided to run through some rooms. I then heard a big shriek in the background and a voice that sounded all too familiar. It sounded exactly like my boss. I ran frantically looking for where the noise was coming from. I saw it. A humanoid creature chasing my boss in front of the rooms. I screamed. The humanoid figure was only getting closer to him and I needed help. The moment I dreaded finally happened. The figure finally caught up to him and started tearing him to shreds. At this point, the only thing I could do was run through the seemingly endless maze of rooms. When I was in one of the rooms, I saw the creature. I did exactly what the YouTube video told me, which was to not look at it and run. As I was catching my breath in one of the rooms, a thought hit me. Water. After a few hours had passed, I realized how thirsty I was. If you ever fall in here, you better hope you had a lot of water the day before. That's how most people in here die. I was determined to get out of here, dead or alive. I had a thought in the back of my head. What if I can find a wall darker than the rest? It was an aha moment. That was going to be how I would get out. I remembered that I only had 2 more days without water, so I had to go quickly. I looked inside of the countless rooms for hours to find something off, even the tiniest thing. I made a choice. I would relax for a bit, and then look for my way out. Around 30 minutes later, I started looking again. I noticed a wall. Something was off about it. The wall was extremely bright compared to the walls around it. A burst of energy hit me. Could this be my way out? I stood back as far as I could, and I took a turn to run for it. I leapt into the wall and I blacked out. I woke up on the mall floor with paramedics surrounding me. "You've been passed out for about 10 minutes. How was that possible? It felt like hours." As they brought me to the hospital, I thought about how much I hated my life before the backrooms and the luxuries that I have. You should always appreciate life no matter what happens. I was a dick and maybe I should have died in the backrooms. But no, I can always turn things around and have a better outlook on life. I escaped the backrooms with only minor injuries in the process. I also escaped with a new personality. I never told anybody about what happened besides the company about what happened to my boss in the backrooms, or even what it was like. A company focusing on reality glitches called me a few weeks ago, which brings me to now. I now work for them and told them everything that had happened there. The wall, the carpet, and everything else. Ever since I have left the backrooms, I can notice small glitches in reality. Whether that would be a wall unlike the others, two people that look the same, or just something off around me. Another sleepless night had arrived as I stared blankly into my computer monitor. I lazily browsed through gaming streams, YouTube videos, and funny memes. Insomnia hit me hard tonight, as I tried desperately to relax my mind, but found myself caught up in the endless digital world called the internet. An unexpected sight was seen from the corner of my eye. The small LED light on my phone was blinking, indicating that I had a notification. What kind of notification could I be receiving this deep into the night? I grabbed my phone and I lit up the screen. One missed call. Strange, I didn't hear it ring. This late, I usually have it on vibrate, but with it sitting on my desk, I usually could not only hear it but feel it through the vibrations resonating through my desktop. I was confused, but I dialed the number back. The call rang several times as I patiently waited for an answer. Just as I figured it was going to go to voicemail, a clicking sound was heard. "Hello?" A female voice groggily answered on the other end. "Oh, hi," I awkwardly replied. Sorry if I'm bugging you, but I just got a missed call from your phone number." "I'm sorry, hon, but that can't be right. I'm asleep in bed and nowhere near my phone," she replied sluggishly as I clearly woke her up. I began to feel bad that I had woken up this poor, elderly woman. "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Maybe it was just a weird hiccup with my phone. I apologize," I said, placing my hand on my forehead in embarrassment. "Oh, it's quite alright, sweetie. Have a good night," she said in a lighthearted tone. We said our goodbyes, and I was a tad relieved she wasn't too terribly upset with me. But still, I was a bit embarrassed. I continued my internet love affair, and all but put the awkward call out of my mind when another indicator light flashed on my phone. One missed call. What the hell? I whispered to myself. Confusion hit me as I clicked on the notification. It was the same number. The same number that I had missed earlier from the elderly lady's phone. I pondered if I should call back. Maybe she figured out what happened and wanted to let me know. I called back. "Hello?" A familiar voice said, a little more sternly this time. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I just got another missed call from you. Did you try calling me back?" I said, trying to sound as innocent as possible as to not frighten this poor woman. "My dear, I haven't touched my phone since we last spoke. Now please, I have a very early day tomorrow, and I really need my rest," she sternly replied. "Again, I apologize. Good night, ma'am," I replied once again, placing my hand on my forehead. The sight hit me once more. Several minutes had passed, and another indicator light on my phone was blinking at me, almost mocking me. One missed call. It was the same number again. I let out a sigh and I put my phone back on my desk. This time, I turned my ringtone on to see if I could hear it next time. I did. A quick beep was heard, followed by silence. 2 missed calls. I stared at my phone waiting for another call. A few more minutes passed as I stared with my finger close to the screen, ready to pounce on the next call. My reflexes kicked in as the phone lit up with the same number calling me. Hello? I quickly answered. Shuffling was heard in the background as I repeated my greeting twice more. Nothing. Her phone must be dialing on its own, like some sort of glitch. I hung up. Almost as soon as I hung up, it began ringing again. I quickly answered. Hey, hello. Ma'am, can you hear me? Your phone is. I was interrupted by another sound, and what I can only imagine was the other end of the room. I heard the snores of who I assumed was the elderly lady, but closer to the phone, I heard a voice. Mine. You belong to me. No more pain. Your pain is almost over. The pain of life. You will thank me. A raspy, deep voice was heard saying. Whoa, who is this? I yelled into the phone. No answer. A small laugh was heard from the same voice. I began to panic. Someone was in this old lady's house. Was this man calling me to hear whatever he was planning? I hung up and moved to call the police. Mid-dial, my phone lit up with the same number. I answered again. The same man's ramblings were heard. More of the same. About life, about pain. This person was clearly troubled. I opened my mouth to speak but was interrupted by another voice. This voice, however, had a much different inflection. 4, 2, 6, 7. The soft feminine voice said quietly. The voice was almost seductive as she spoke. Wait, what? Who are you? 4267. What is this? I asked in a panic. Click. The call hung up again. 4267. What was the voice trying to tell me? Was that another prisoner of this psychotic man? As if on cue, my phone once again awoke, with the same phone number staring back from the screen. I answered. More of this disturbed man's whispering rant could be heard, only they were further away and barely audible. He was moving towards the elderly woman. I began to panic at the realization. The street. A soft, feminine voice was heard again. What? I asked, confused. The Street of Hope. She slowly replied. I don't know what you're... I stopped what I was saying as I realized what this could mean. The call ended on my phone as I couldn't believe what it was implying. The Street of Hope. 1 block away from my house was Hope Street. A quick glimpse of my maps program showed me the address. 4267 Hope Street. I was close. I picked up my phone, but this time, I was not calling the elderly woman's number back. I was phoning the police. After trying to make my story as believable as possible, blaming it on a butt dial, I managed to get them to head to their house. Sirens and flashing lights were soon heard from the neighborhood across the way. I couldn't see what was happening, just the blue and red lights. An hour later, there was a knocking at my door. It was the police. In conducting a search of her house, the police were able to apprehend a mentally unstable man who had just escaped from a local psychiatric hospital. He was branding a small steak knife from the woman's kitchen. My mind raced as I remembered the other person in the house who gave me the address. They were confused as only the deranged man and elderly woman were found in the home. And they did find her cell phone on the other side of the room from where she was sleeping. And when the police searched her phone to verify my story, there was an unsent text. A text that was being sent to my number. The text simply read, "It's not time yet.